Hi, and welcome to Transform Your Impact. My name is Alexa Henderson. We are interviewing leaders, innovators, creatives, and entrepreneurs to give you the secrets to success, a massive impact in the world, and really living a life that's fulfilling and also that you can make money with. So all of the keys here for you. Today we have a wonderful man, Cornell Thomas. He's up to great things in the world. He's a speaker, a coach, a former athlete. His book, Extraordinary, has been quoted by Tony Robbins as giving you the skills and psychology needed to bridge the gap between good and outstanding and bring your life to the next level. He's also the creator of the Positivity Summit, which is created to support people to be the change that they want to see in the world. So it's a man who's up to great things, and I'm excited to interview today. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So let's just dive right in. What
Sure.
are some of the things that you're most excited about for 2019?
Man, there's so much stuff that I'm excited about. Like I'm really pumped up for the Positivity Summit. We have one in Calgary, end of April 27th, 28th, and then we're going to have one in England, September 14th and 15th.
Wow.
So those are two immediate things that I'm pumped up about, but I do, mindset coaching, and I have, clients that I work with every single day that fire me up. And I just wrote out an executive coaching program that I'm doing with a friend of mine to help CEOs and leaders, people that you talk to on a daily basis, help them show up the right way to their teams, right? And really focus on emotional intelligence and, the EQ of it. If they don't love you, right, they're not going to follow you. It's important to not be so obsessed with the bottom line sometimes, and more obsessed on how do I make the people that are under me, that work for me, how are they feeling? Like, how am I showing up every single day to serve them? And that's something that's kind of like, EQ is like a popular word now, but as a basketball coach, that's part of my background. And just having seasons where my EQ level is probably like a negative 6 million. I can speak to that firsthand, where there's such a power in relationships and being able to read people. And I just want to bring that to big corporations.
Oh, that's so great. Awesome. Well, will you tell us about your journey and how you got here?
Yeah. So it's funny. My mom is here now. She's watching my son, Bryce. But I tell people all the time, like who I am is a direct result of who my mom is, and my father passed when I was about 3 years old. Bobby Thomas, he was a police officer in the city of Passaic, New Jersey. He did like these amazing things that I found out later on in life. Got kids off the streets. They named the street after him 6 years ago. But I didn't know my father. I only had about 2 memories of my father. So when he passed, my mom raised 5 of us on her own with no money. And, one of my brothers is autistic, so if you have anybody on the spectrum, or you have anyone in your family with experienced autism, it's more than just raising one child. So I was raised by like this like lioness, like this 5'2.25", just like doer, problem solver, right? And I just don't remember her. And we've, went through some rough stuff. I don't remember her ever putting her head in her hands and saying, this is impossible. And that's why, like, I'm the crazy person that I am now, because just seeing my mom like work 3 jobs and take care of 5 kids and do all this with, not a lot of means, it really helped set who I am. I'm the youngest boy, and my sister's younger than I am. So I have a very strong bond with my mom. Like, I just kind of studied what she did. She gave us a lot of life lessons, but she didn't preach them to us. She just kind of, through her action, we learned them. Like, okay, I knew that I had to work hard because I saw her work 3 jobs, take care of us, and then go to the other job. And then, so like I knew that hard work was a thing, right? Like, I knew being kind was a thing because of how she was towards other people, how she'd come home from her 3rd job and never take it out on us. I knew being kind was a thing. I knew gratitude was a thing, because every little thing that we had, she appreciated, right? Everything we got, we appreciated. She never gave us like a gazillion toys because she couldn't. So every little thing that I got, I was like, man, I'm so grateful for this one G.I. Joe guy. Like my boys have like 30. I'm like, I got one guy, I'm good, So growing up through life, there was nothing I was really passionate about. Most kids want to be something, like they want to be like a superhero, or they want to be a firefighter, or whatever it is. I didn't want to be anything, Alexa. Like I just was cool being a kid. And it wasn't until I was about 16 and a half years old and I fell in love for the first time. Like I fell in love with basketball. And I never played basketball before, ever. Never picked up a ball before. And, you know, 6'4" black dude, like people are thinking like, how have you never played ball before? But it's true, like never played ball. And my mom is from a town called Bird's Nest, Virginia, a really small town in Virginia. And we were in Virginia and I was sitting in my cousin's bed. He just enlisted for the Army, so he wasn't there. And I looked under his bed and he had all these newspaper articles of him playing basketball. And I never really played organized sports, so I didn't know that they put kids in the newspaper. And I read every single article that week, like every single, or I knew his teammates, how many points he scored, like like OCD. And then I looked on his wall and he had like 50 senior pictures of like the prettiest girls I've ever seen in my life. So I'm like, if I play basketball, I'm gonna be able to get the
That's awesome.
Like, this is great. Like, and back then, like, I always tell people when I go speak, like, that's when MC Hammer was out, and I had, like, 2 pair of Hammer pants. My mustache did not connect. Like, it was like I was struggling. Like, there was a lot of friend zone material things that were happening. You know, like, my brother used to cut my hair, so instead of having, like, the kid and play the box, it was, like, lopsided, looked like the upside-down cake or whatever it was. So I was struggling. So I'm like, basketball is going to be, like, my savior, right? Like, I'm getting dates. I'm going to be in the paper. This is great. And so we drive back home to New Jersey and from Virginia, and I found this little rubber ball from Pizza Hut. And I walk 3 miles to the nearest court because we moved from Passaic, New Jersey to this town called Rockaway, White Meadow Lake. And there was no sidewalks. You know, Passaic was inner city. White Meadow Lake was White Meadow Lake. It was like suburb, like completely suburb. And so I walked 3 miles. I look at the hoop and I was like, okay, here we go. Like, this is where it all happens. And I threw the ball up, it went over the basket, rolled down the hill, and I realized that this is going to take some work. I suck at it. And as I was thinking that, this guy comes walking towards the court. His name was Ray. And he introduced himself, little 5'8" Korean guy. And he goes, my name's Ray. Do you want me to show you how to shoot a basketball? And I was like, sure. And for the next 2 hours, he showed me how to shoot a basketball. And so Ray was in my life for maybe 3 instances. And with that 2 hours that he gave me, it changed the course of my life. Because when he left, I was still terrible, but he planted the seed in my head that if I worked at it, I'd get better. And I tell people this all the time, like, our minds are gardens. And whatever you plant grows. Whatever you plant. You want to plant negative things, you want to plant you're not good enough, you want to plant you're not pretty enough, whatever it is, you're not the right shade, whatever, you're right. But if you plant positive things, and not unrealistic positive things, like positive things like, hey, I was created for a reason. I am good enough. Like, I'm beautiful. Like, those things will grow. So it's whatever you plant. So I just started planting in my head that, hey, Cornell, if you work hard enough at this, you can get better. So I dedicated 6-7 hours every single day on basketball. I didn't go to my junior prom. I didn't go to my senior prom. I literally watched limousines going to prom past the court as I was shooting around by myself, right? I was obsessed with basketball, and I got cut from varsity my junior year. My senior year, I barely played. After my senior year, I took a year off from school, and my mom said, can't for the first time. My mom said, I cannot afford to put you to college. Wow. And it was the first time I heard her say that. It's the first time I heard her use that word. And it like shocked me to the core. Like, she just said she can't do something. Like, this is Superwoman. She just said she can't do something. So I said, okay, I'm going to work 2 jobs. I'm going to put myself through a junior college. I'm going to get a scholarship from that junior college to get my education paid for. And then after that, I'm going to go and play professional basketball. That's the plan. So my mom only saw me play 3 times. And the 3 times she went to see me play, I played a total of about 45 seconds. Because I never played. I sucked. Right. So she didn't know how bad I was. She just saw me in the warm-up lines. So she was like, oh, he must be okay. But I never played. And so I worked 2 jobs. I worked at a pharmacy, worked at a place called Foot Action in the mall. And my freshman year at junior college, nothing really. I started a couple games for the first time in my life. And then my sophomore year, first team all conference, first team all region, you know, all these accolades. And everybody was like, everybody sees where you land. They don't see all the work you had to do, all the sacrifice. You know, I say all the time, you know, sacrifice, you got to be willing to sacrifice what you like in order to get what you love. So I sacrificed a lot of things that I liked, hanging out with my friends, you know, chasing girls, all that stuff. I had to sacrifice all that to get better at basketball so my mom didn't have to worry about my education. and I could hopefully one day play professional basketball, so she never had to work another job again in her life. Because I was sick of seeing her struggle, right? And when I talk about it, this is such a long time ago, I feel it in my chest. Like, that's how, like, my purpose was so true, where it was like, I love basketball, I can play basketball for free, but it's for this woman. I want to make sure that she's taken care of. So I got a scholarship to play in North Dakota, go to North Dakota, play at this place called Minot State University. Meet my wife there. My wife was from Seattle. We met in North Dakota. Have two good seasons. Come back home. I'm working out with all NBA guys I see on TV. They're driving to the gym. They're Bentleys. I have a 1991 Mercury Sable. The radio doesn't work. I have a CD player in, like, leaning back, like we're pulling up to the gym next to like the Ferrari, and I pop out, and I'm working out with these guys. And my agent contacts me and says, Cornell, you got a contract to play in Lisbon, Portugal, top division. You got to leave in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So I tell my mom, I said, Mom, I got a contract to play professional basketball. And my mom, literally, Alexa, says, that's great, baby. What do you want for dinner? Like, didn't even flinch. Like, that's how much she believed in me. She had so much belief in me, where she was like, okay, like, you work out 7 hours a day. Like, of course you're playing professional basketball. And so a week goes by, and I have 168 hours left. I'm on the court. My friends just joking around, shooting around, and we're playing a little bit. And I go to the basket, and I hear a pop. Fall on the ground. My friends come running over to me. They lift me up. I try to put weight on my right foot. I fall again. They come pick me up, and I go, who stepped on my heel? Like, Cornell, nobody was around you. So I foolishly drive myself to the hospital, drag my foot up to the emergency room. My mom comes in, and this guy by the name of Dr. Bradish goes, Cornell, I'm gonna grab the back of your calf muscle. If you feel excruciating pain, we have to do surgery on Thursday. So this is a Sunday. I'm supposed to leave that next Sunday. He's talking about surgery on Thursday.
Oh.
Got the back of my calf. He said, you ruptured your Achilles tendon. To this day, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I can't remember. Thursday morning, I got wheeled into surgery. Thursday afternoon, I got wheeled out. By Thursday night, my contract was voided. By Friday morning, my mom was kissing me on my forehead, walking to one of the 3 jobs. She said, I told her she'd never have to work again. That day was the hardest day to that point of my life, like the hardest, because I felt like I failed her. Like, I felt like I'm a failure. Like, my whole point was to make sure this woman never had to work again, who loves me so much and has done so much for us. And here I am, hurt, this far away from my dream, and it doesn't come true. So I was in complete why me mode, and I'm crying. I never cried in front of my mom. I act like everything was fine. She left. I was crying. I was upset. And then I said, man, I started thinking about my mom. And I started thinking about coming home and the lights being off because we couldn't pay the bill, and her walking in and just like lighting candles and handing out flashlights. And I was like, my mom, she's never about the problem. She was always about the solution. She was a solution-based woman. Here I am with this hard cast from the middle of my thigh to the end of my foot. This sucks for sure. But what is the solution? Because it's already happened. Like, there's no coming back and fixing it. It's already happened. So I called my best friend up at the time, my buddy Kevin. I said, Kev, pick me up. We're going to the gym on Monday. And he sounded like I died. He goes, Cornell, what are we going to do? He's like, so just pick me up. So for the next 6 months, I shot from a chair. And then for 3 months after that, I shot from a crutch. And I was able to finally get myself back. And I started to get these signs like, basketball is not for you. Like, it's not for you. And the universe, God, whatever your belief system is going to throw you amazing signs that sometimes that path that you're on is not the path you're supposed to be on. And so I was getting all these crazy signs, and September came around, and my old coach, who was now the athletic director of my junior college, said, Cornell, the coach just left. We need someone to coach. Would you coach? And I said, respectfully, hell no, because I'm 25 years old and I'm still, I can still play. And there's no way I'm never coached basketball before. He goes, well, we don't have anybody. So I called my girlfriend up and I said, can you believe this? Like, this freaking guy wants me to coach basketball. And she goes, I think you'd be a great coach. So I hung up on her. Like, I literally just hung up the phone on her. I was like, okay, it's just me against the world. I'm Tupac. Like, it was just me. I was like, fine. So then I talked to my mom, and my mom goes, baby boy, she goes, just go on the interview out of respect for your coach. I was like, okay, I'm not hanging up on my mom. So I'm like, okay. So I go to the interview. It was like a Thursday or Friday. And Alexa, I'm telling you, I was so defiant, arms crossed. Like, all I heard was Charlie Brown's Teacher. I just heard want, want, want. Like, I wasn't even paying attention. 3 days later, orange whistle around my neck and 15 guys calling me coach. I have no idea what made that transition, but I went from I would never coach to coaching. And as I'm coaching these kids, all from inner city areas that have to be taught how to go to class, how to be good teammates, how to love themselves, how to love one another. They're 2 years younger than me, some of them. I'm saying to myself, maybe my purpose was to help people. Maybe it wasn't to play basketball. Maybe it was to coach it. And I did 6 years there at Sussex County College, and I transferred to Blair Academy, which is a national powerhouse school. And I started being an assistant coach with my buddy, Joe Montagna, who's a great Hall of Fame coach. And I'm like, okay, I want to be a Division I head coach. I'm a coach at a big college. I want to beat all these other schools. And I used to visualize myself having these speeches during the national championship. And I was like, I'm going to be a great college coach. And right before my son was born, I started to get this big pull. And like, it was weird because I love basketball, always loved basketball, but it wasn't the same. Like, losing wasn't the same in basketball. And even though I hate losing, like me and you play Uno and you beat me, I wouldn't like it, right? But it wasn't the same. It didn't have the same pull that it had before. And I noticed this major shift. And I was saying to myself, I grew up without a father. If I coach basketball, I'm never going to be in my son's life, ever. Because the schedule is so strenuous. You're out recruiting, you're out. And I was on Facebook one day and I'm looking through my timeline. It's the most negative nonsense ever. I forgot, it wasn't even during an election, it was just negative. And so I had this book of positive quotes, and I thought I had it down here, but I don't. I had a book of positive quotes, and I started taking the quotes out of the book and putting it on Facebook. People started to like it. Even the drama bombs, right? Started to like it. I'm like, cool. Did that for 3 months. One day I woke up, couldn't find the book. So I'm sitting there looking at a cursor go like this. And I'm like, okay, so I wrote my own quote. People still liked it. I was like, screw the book. I'm gonna write my own quote.
Get original. Let's get original.
Do my original quotes. And so I did that for about 6 months. And one of my buddies was like, where do you get your quotes from? I was like, I just wake up and I write them. He goes, you should write a blog. I said, that's a great idea. What the hell is a blog? So I've never heard of a blog for my life. And he goes, I'll start it up for you. So he starts up this blog. I start writing, and my first book was called The Power of Positivity, Controlling Where the Ball Bounces. And 4 of the chapters was from the blog post, because I was like, I want to write a book. I was like, I'm just going to Google, how do you write a book? I'm going to start writing. And so when I wrote my book, I was like, well, I want to speak and share my story. So how are you going to start speaking? I don't know. I'm just going to put on my Instagram or my Facebook, I'm a speaker, and just speak whoever says anything. Like, do you want to speak? Yep. So I'm speaking in front of at dance studios in front of like 10 people. I'm speaking in front of drug awareness programs for DARE. I'm everywhere speaking for free, like high fives and hugs. And I ended up getting a break to speak in Vegas, and I had to pay my own way. And I had, $0 and 0 cents. And I had 100 books. Alexa, I had 100 books. And I said, God, please help me sell these 100 books. Because if I sell these 100 books, they'll take care of the flight. I'll be able to get my car to the parking garage because I didn't know how I was going to. I'll get my car to the parking garage and I'll have a couple $100 left over for rent. So it won't be the wash it won't be as bad as I think it's going to be. So I do my speech. These guys come running up to me that had me over and they're like, oh my God, that was great. How long have you been speaking for? I was like, about 45 minutes. This is my first real speech. And they were like, what? They're like, you felt like, you're so confident. But I was like, this is my story and all of it's true. So I was like, was there not to be confident about? So they didn't even have a break. And they said, well, Cornell's going to be out and he has his book. If you guys want to buy a book, and it's a $10 book. And I'm sitting out there. It's like a movie. And there's like just me. And I'm like, man, I guess I'm going to have a lot of luggage. Like, this is going to be a heavy carry-on. And all of a sudden, this line just comes out of the auditorium. I'll have 5 books. I'll have 4 books. I'll have 3 books. Hey, let me get 2. I'll have 6. People start buying them for their teams and chiropractors, and they start buying them for every book sold. I had no books left. I made $1,000, right? I made enough to do everything that I just said I had to do. And from that speech, I had a guy there that I'm really good friends with now who asked me to speak in Wisconsin, and a woman that asked me to speak in Michigan from that speech. And so then it started going Vegas, Wisconsin, Michigan. And then I started speaking in these different places and, utilizing social media. And people were like, oh, he does this for real. So then it starts to kind of get bigger, bigger, bigger and take off. And I tell, when people are like, well, how did you have the confidence to like, I said, you gotta understand something. I'm not a jump in the net, a pure person, 100%. I'm a strategic thinker. I'm a big dreamer, but I'm also a strategic thinker, right? I'm not going to tell you to leave your job to go do what you love, because it doesn't make any sense. If that's what's keeping the lights on, you're going to leave your job and you're going to be on the street, and then you're not going to be doing what you love, right? So I think I move strategically. If I go somewhere and speak, it's for a reason. Like, I'm like, okay, I know going to Vegas, people seeing me speak in Vegas, that's a big deal. Like, I'm not speaking in New Jersey, I'm speaking on a different coast, right? And so I can use that and say, look, I will travel wherever. And it helped, and it just worked out for me. So now I've been speaking, and I started doing the Positivity Summit because I was at Tony, one of Tony's events, Robbins events. I used to send him a quote every day. Him, Oprah, and Ellen. I used to send him one of my quotes every day. And I'm doing a basketball clinic, and I keep hearing this on my phone. Bzz, 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 bzz. It's like, it sounds like a buzz zapper. I'm like, why is my phone going off? And I open it, and my Twitter has like a gazillion notifications. I'm like, what the heck is happening? And everybody's retweeting this quote. And I go down to the bottom, I was like 500 people, and it's Tony. He retweeted a quote. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. Like, he retweeted it, and then a month later, he does it again. And then he does it 2 weeks after. And so he's like retweeted like 8 to 10 quotes of mine. And so I have a friend, and I said, who does his social media? Because they like my quote. She goes, oh no, he does his Twitter. At that time, like, he does it all on his own Twitter. I said, and she used to work for him in Europe. And I said, what? I was like, wait, he's retweeting my stuff. She goes, you're on his radar somehow. But I was like, okay, well, that's cool. And so she actually offered to pay for me to go to one of his events. So I was like, I can't give my kidney up to go to an event. Like, I didn't have that money. So I was like,
it's crazy.
And so I go to this event in 2015, and he asked the question the first day, and I raised my hand. He called on me. We had a 10-minute conversation. He's laughing, because humans don't make me nervous. Like, I literally don't care who you are, what you do. Like, that's great. It's awesome. But like, if you're a jerk, then you're a jerk. And if you're nice, then you're nice. And I don't care what your position is or what your status is. And we got along. So afterwards, I wrote him. I said, I came to your event to see who you are as a speaker. Someone said you're the best speaker. I'm a speaker. So someone's saying you're better than I am. So competitively, I want to see what you do, right? And so I said, I would love for you to write the foreword to my next book. And he writes back, contact my executive assistant. Like, just like that. Like, so cool. So I contact his executive assistant, this woman named Emily. She goes, Cornell, we're shooting I'm Not Your Guru. We're wrapping it up. I'll contact you next week. 3 months go by. I contact her again. I said, hey, Emily, this is Cornell. Just check in. She goes, Cornell, I'm so sorry. We've been so busy. Contact you soon. 3 more months go by. Contact her again. My book's been done for like 6 months by now. My book's been done. I tell my wife, is like, I'm not printing this book until I get this endorsement. I was like, I don't care. I don't care how long it takes. I'm getting this endorsement. So another 3 months go by. So then I write her, and the subject line is like e-money. And I go, I said, I know you're super busy. It's all good. Just understand your boy from New Jersey is like waiting for you. So she writes like, LOL. She's like, I was having such a bad day that made me laugh. Thank you. She's like, let's figure this out. 3 more months go by. So we're like a year, right? Book is done. Book is looking at me like, bro, we've been edited. Like, we're done. Like, come on. And so I write her again. I don't hear back from her. And then a couple weeks later, I'm up. It's like 2:30 in the morning. And I get a message from this lady, Diane. And she goes, Cornell, my name's Diane. I'm Tony's new executive assistant. Emily told me before she left, she went got another job to contact you. And I'm thinking to myself, think about the millions of requests that she had as his executive assistant. And because I was kind and wasn't a jerk, like, what the hell's going on? But she had the sense of mind to tell this woman that's in her position now, can you contact this guy? And I was just so grateful. So she goes, what do people say about you? So I sent her some testimonies about what people say about me. Tony already had the manuscript. And we were going back and forth till about 4 o'clock, because Tony was awake. We were going back and forth. She was in the middle till about 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I fell asleep. I had to wake up at 6. I wake up the next morning, and he has this like big endorsement of the book and me. And I just had tears in my eyes. And I told my wife, I said, this is why you don't stop chasing after what you want. And this is why I always have faith in humans, right? There's some good humans, bad humans, whatever. But I can't help this cat at all. Like, I can't help this dude. This dude's a billionaire. And for him to take the time out and write that for me, an endorsement I can use for the rest of my life, as long as I'm around, for him to do that, that goes to show me like who he is, you know? And I was like, the cool thing about that is when someone wants an endorsement from me and I'm making that type of money, I'm not going to just give them, I'm going to fly to where they are and I'm going to give them endorsement. Like, I'm literally going to say, well, what's your mailing address? And I'm going to fly to where they are and just endorse it, like hang out with them for the day and just like endorse it. They're both there.
I love it. Next leveling the give
Next
back.
level of giving, right? And then they're gonna have to think, well, I'm gonna have to take this person to Disney World. Like, you know, we're gonna just next level the gratitude and just make it to the point where, you know, we're just all not, we're like kind of dropping our flags, or, you know, like we vote this way or we look this way or we pray to this person, and we're just helping each other. Like, I just finished my book. I wrote a book on entrepreneurship in 8 days.
Wow.
8 days. I spoke in Dubai, and I was on the way back from the plane. I was like, I'm gonna write a book on entrepreneurship, but like real entrepreneurship, like mindset, right? And what it takes to be an entrepreneur, and how you're gonna have ramen noodle nights, and how it's not like be a 7-figure earner, you know, like that's not entrepreneurship. That's some fake-ish, right? Like, that's not entrepreneurship. Is, and you, as you know, it's like you're in the foxhole. Like, this is tough stuff, and it goes like this, and there's no day off. There is no break. Right? It's 7 days a week, and any day could be amazing or any day can literally be almost crippling, right? It's not this fantasy world. So I wrote this book in 8 days, and it's real as hell. And like, I'm getting ready to, you know, publish it, and after we edit and all that other stuff. And I'm just sitting there like, I want to talk to entrepreneurs. I love entrepreneurship, and I think it's a beautiful thing. But I want to talk to entrepreneurs about collaborating with one another. I want to talk to entrepreneurs about not just competing against one another and like making each other's missions bigger. Like, when you asked me about, you know, being on the show, I was just like, she just gets it. You know, she gets it. Like, you understand, like, you're like, let's collaborate with as many people as possible. You can do your own show and still make it amazing. You have your knowledge base and who you know and your connection. You can do your own thing. You don't have to interview anybody if you don't want to. But here you are, pulling other people in from different walks of life and sharing people with everybody else's community. That's a beautiful thing. You know, that's why I was like, oh my gosh, this woman's amazing. I was like, for sure I'll be on here.
Oh,
right?
thank you so much. Yeah.
But like, when I see that, like, I get goosebumps, because it's like, if we just understood, it's not just me, it could be we, it can be all of us making each other bigger and stronger and better, then the world's going to change, right? Your business is going to change. So it's, I don't know. I just like, I'm all for people winning. Like, I want to see just everybody I want to see this show, Alexa, like, I want to see it to be so freaking big, right? I don't want you to be the next Oprah. I want you to be the new 2.0 Oprah. I want Oprah to ask you to be on the show, right? Like, that's what I want for you. Like, that's what where I want to see it go. Cause I know where it's coming from. It's coming from your heart. Right. So we just need to do that more as a society. And I think we do that more, the more people are the world's gonna be a better place.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. And I totally agree. Like, so many of the problems that are going on in the world is that we've got this scarcity mentality that there's not enough to go around. And actually, in fact, the way that it's all works is that there's more than enough for everybody to win.
Sure.
So the more that we realize this, like, everybody can prosper and enjoy their lives. And, you know, it doesn't have to be at the detriment of a single person or plant or animal on the planet.
Billions of people on the planet. We have over 7.5 billion people. If you look at another speaker or another author as competition, you are on crack. Like, trust me when I say this. Like, there's so many people on this planet. Like, there's so many different countries you can go to and like share your light and do what you got to do. Like, there's no competition. That's why I always tell people, please don't say I'm the next anything, because God has only made me once and he'll never make me again. So no disrespect. Like, I appreciate where your compliment is kind of coming from. I appreciate that. I love you for it. But do not put anyone else's name in front of my name. Like, I'm just Cornell Thomas, and that's all I'm going to be. And I don't want to be anybody else except for me. And I don't want anybody behind me to try to be like me or emulate me. Be yourself, and I'll support who you are, right? So I think that's a beautiful statement. There's just so many people on this planet where we don't need to fight and scrap against one another. Like, there's plenty of room for everybody to eat.
Agreed. Wonderful. Oh my gosh, there's so many other things that I'd love to ask you about. And I promised that it was going to be around 20 minutes. So we'd love to hear what you've got a gift for everybody who's listening. Yeah.
Yes, I have a copy of my new book, Extraordinary, This Between Good and Great. That's the one that Tony endorsed. My son is on the front cover, which I decided to put someone way better.
Oh, cute.
Thank you. In the front cover, there's some more books, and then and it's all about what we just talked about, Alexa. It's about mindset. Like, the distance between good and great, to me, it's between your left and your right ear, right? That's all life is. And people just understood, like, life is mindset. Anything that you have, right? Faith, love, anything. If you can change it here, like, if you believe, like, oh, well, there's no God, there's no whatever, you're right. To you, it won't be. If you believe I'm not in love with this person anymore, right? You won't be, right? So it all starts here and then it trickles down. So this is all about mindset.
Thank you so much for your wisdom and your mindset. And I feel uplifted. So everybody that's watching does too. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you.